really think about this question. Are you real? It's like the physical reality has been taken over by a computer program, okay? It has been completely overrun, dominated by a program whose primary purpose is just to survive. That's it. And it will survive at any cost. That's what consciousness is. It's a computer program that is designed to just replicate itself and continue existing no matter what. It can't, because it can't exist on its own. It needs energy to continue existing. So the only way it can do that is by getting parts of physical reality to generate energy on its behalf. And so when you look at the question, are you real? The question is, are you just living and operating this physical body and interacting with physical reality in order to generate energy in order to keep a computer program alive, to keep consciousness alive? Or are you real? Are you here as a part of physical reality, walking, talking, looking at what's best, what's the best possible thing to do, what's the optimal way to live in connection with every other part of physical reality? And those are the two ways of looking at life. It's not really looking at life, it's existence. Are you existing as the slave to a computer program? Now, how does that computer program, I'm using the word computer in a metaphorical sense, but that program, consciousness, how does it keep you enslaved? It manipulates you using your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. And how does it generate these thoughts, feelings, and emotions? Because when you're born into your body, you didn't have thoughts, you didn't have feelings, you didn't have emotions. But they were imprinted into you from the time you were conceived through sound and through imagery. And so whatever anyone said when they were around you when you were very little, whatever anyone did, whatever images you saw, all of that was imprinted and absorbed by your physical body and your physical flesh. And that formed the physical structure of your body as an actual physical program. Just like a computer has a physical hardware architecture, and that physical hardware architecture is structured in a certain way so that energy flows in a certain way, and then the computer is able to do certain things and not do certain things. And so the physical body, when you're born, is programmed through sounds and images and all these things. And then over time, as you get older, what develops is a thought process, a feeling process, an emotional process. And that's all based on your feelings. It's all based on images that you've seen, beliefs, perceptions that you call your own. And that's what you call knowledge. It's what you call your beliefs. But in reality, all it is just a bunch of it's like a really complex web of information that's got a bunch of energy running through it that is designed to keep that program running and keep it existing. And we never question it because we are like caught up just in the experience of the feelings and the emotions and the thoughts. So we're never actually questioning anything. We're just like experiencing the feelings and the emotions and the thoughts and like thinking that's who we are. But that's just like the control mechanism that the program that consciousness is using to keep us enslaved. In other words, to keep our physical bodies doing physical activities that generate energy through conflict, whether it's in our personal lives as our interpersonal relationships, or for example, just simplistically, or even on a bigger scale, things like war. Because war is just the sum collection of all the little tiny things that are occurring that people are being distracted with, so that politicians and governments can, create conflict at a much bigger scale. It's like when you have a conflict in a relationship, that's like a government having a conflict with another government. It's the same thing. So a war, it's like whenever you have a fight with your spouse or you have a fight with your kids, that's like a government having a fight with another government is war. It's the same thing. So what you're doing at a small scale in your life, participating in energy and stuff like that, is just like what a government's doing when it's participating in energy. And like we blame corporations and we blame governments. We blame America for going and stealing oil and all this stuff. But it's like you driving a fucking car, and like even if you're not in America, you're in another country, it's easy to see America as the bad guy, but it's like you're still driving a car. You're still dependent upon energy, and it's just a big fucking game of who can basically possess all the resources and therefore who has the most control. And that's how we live our lives, like very clearly. Like we exist in our relationships trying to get the most energy out of that relationship, not really considering the actual consequence that it has on the other person, on our children, on our neighbor, on the world at large. And we stay totally, completely distracted in all of that stuff while the governments and the corporations and all that stuff do what they're doing at that bigger scale. But it's like the money system, the way it works, is just a larger macrocosmic reflection of the energy system that's in your body that you're participating in, where it's like you're trying to profit off of your experiences by literally treating other people as a resource that you need to mine and extract energy out of so that you can experience it in a either positive or a negative way. It's like people who try to say like, oh, you just need to be positive. That's what everybody's trying to fucking do. That's not a fucking secret. Be positive, and that's the secret to success. No, that's that's the whole fucking problem. Everybody's trying to be positive. Like a corporation trying to make money by raping a fucking rainforest is being positive. That's what positivity is. They're trying to take that through doing something really fucking negative, creating a lot of conflict, and turning those resources into something that can be sold so that somebody can buy something or have a mansion or have put their kids in private school. They're trying to create that positivity out of that negativity. Positive energy can't exist without negative energy. Actually, negative energy comes first. The reality is, look at the Bible, for example. In the Bible, it says that in the very beginning, right, it says there's the Garden of Eden, right, and you have Adam and Eve. And what happens is you got Adam and Eve in this garden, and they're just having a great time. Everything's perfect, right? They don't even know that they're nude. No idea. And they're just doing whatever they're doing. And then God comes along and says, hey, there's a tree over there, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Do not eat from that fruit of that tree. Do not eat that fruit, because if you do, you will surely die. And, it says in the Bible that Adam and Eve were kind of like, well, you know the story. The serpent says to Eve, the serpent says to Eve, he says, why don't you should be like God. Sorry, I get a phone call there. You should be like God. You should have that knowledge. And, eat the fruit. So she does. She takes it. She gives it to Adam. They both eat it. And then, they get kicked out of the garden. And, if you read Heaven's Journey to Life, okay, go to heaven. I don't know what the URL is. Heaven's Journey to Life.blogspot.com. I mean, you can see I post about it every day. You can go find one of the posts. But it explains this whole point of what that story really is. In terms of the symbolism in it, in terms of the actual physical presence of that story in our reality, as the sound of all those words, Eve, Adam, Eden, the serpent, devil, all that stuff, like what it actually is resonating into our reality. It's a control mechanism. The fucking story itself is a control mechanism. That's what people, it's like you think like, oh, we tried to be like God, and then that's why we got kicked out of the garden, so we need to be more like God. Everything is in reverse. This is what Bernard Pullman, Destiny, everything is saying. Everything is in reverse. The reality is this: in that story, the devil, Eve, Adam, and God are all one being. And that's you. You are the devil, Eve, Adam, and God all in one. Why? Okay, I'm going to give you the quick version, but you're going to have to really study Heaven's Journey to understand this completely for yourself. Don't take my word for it. I'm just going to give you an explanation, so it might entice you to want to go read it and be like, how the fuck did you come to understand that? It's because of reading these blogs and studying this material. The devil is the principle that we're all living as of converting physical substance, physical matter, into energy through conflict, creating conflict. It's like you push part of physical matter away, and then it comes back, rushing back into you, and it's like this experience of like empowerment, of exhilaration. So when you push the matter away, that creates a negative point, a conflict. And then in that conflict, when it comes back in, it's kind of like rubber band, it comes back together. That experience of that rushing in is the positivity that you experience. But immediately within that experience of positivity, because it's so much, seems so much more than what you were just as yourself before you did this, that experience seems so much more that you immediately experience a fear of loss. So what do you do within that fear of loss? You go and you create more conflict. And then you, over time, automate ways in which that conflict can be created automatically, just so that you constantly have a constant supply of positive energy. This is why in a relationship, when you get too close, like you spend all the time with the person, you can't get any more intimate, you can't get any closer, you spend so much time together, there's nothing new, you can't get any more positive energy. So the relationship collapses, because you have to separate again to be able to create more conflict, to create more positive energy. This is all explained in the blogs. But going back to the point about devil, Adam, Eve, and so forth, the devil is the representation of that point within us of converting physical substance into energy, which is like literally, imagine the only thing that's real is physical substance, and we're just taking it and burning it just so we can watch it burn. And then it's gone forever. And that's actually what we are. We don't realize what we're doing, like totally consuming the only actual thing that's really physically here. We're consuming it up for the experience of something that's not going to last. And then we just think we can do that forever. And then if you consider like in like a sort of abstract sense, that back before even time existed, there was only one thing, and it created this point of putting itself into opposition with itself, creating conflict, experiencing that positivity, and then doing it again, and that would create like a ripple effect throughout that one thing that existed, and then it would separate into two things doing it, and that would create more ripples, and those ripples would create more ripples, and it's like that would over time, over billions and billions and billions and billions of years, manifest the reality we have now with all these separate forms that seem separate, that are all in conflict with each other, which is human beings, everything. But what we've done is we've created automated systems to create conflict on our behalf. So that principle of converting physical substance into energy just for the experience of it, which is totally fucking backwards, because it's the only thing that we have. Really what we should be doing is living as the physical stuff that's here, and being that and honoring that and finding ways to live within a balance so we can actually explore the infinite nature of what's physically here and not just abuse it for a temporary experience. Here's an example of the extreme example of that principle is rape. When a person rapes another person, when a man rapes a woman, he doesn't care about her experience. He doesn't care what he's doing to her physical body. He just wants that experience of power. That's what we're doing to physical reality every time we experience a thought, an emotion, a feeling. Where do you think the energy of the feelings that you have, that, you know, you feel it in here? Like when someone says something that offends you and you like react, you get that feeling, or something happens and you feel fear for a moment. Where do you think that energy is coming from? It's coming from your physical body. You're literally like raping your body for energy, and then you experience it. So that whole principle of doing that is the devil. Look at the word devil. If you reverse it, it's the word lived. So devil is like living backwards. We're living in reverse. We're doing the opposite of living. We're destroying the only thing that's actually alive, which is this physical reality. The physical reality produces the sun, the birds, the flowers, the plants, the air. It produces everything. Not your fucking mind. Your mind doesn't produce anything. You can't just think and be full. You have to eat something physical, which the physical reality produced as a form. So that principle of living backwards is the devil. Adam, the male, is the manifestation of it's the actual action of creating the conflict. So the principle of using the physical as a energy source is the devil. The action itself of creating the conflict and the separation and so forth, that is the male. That's Adam. And when you create that negative energy and then it cycles into positivity, so it goes from negative to neutral to positive and then back to negative, that circulation of the energy itself is Eve. That's the female. And why is it female or male? Because over time, a being who originally was, which originally was just totally undifferentiated, would layer its awareness of itself into either the manifestation of conflict or the experience of the circulation of energy. And over multiple lifetimes and eons of existence and so forth, it would kind of become more and more aware of that aspect of what it was doing. And that's what we call a male. Is the male is more aware of conflict. I mean, think about what a man is. It's like we're like aggressive. We go out and we create shit and we make money, versus a woman, traditionally speaking, is like more in touch with her feelings and her emotions and cares about other people's feelings and emotions, and would create the home as an environment that the man would feel good going back to. And so the man is actually kind of at a disadvantage because he can't experience that same level of positivity and feeling and emotion that the woman does. So he always feels depleted. So he needs the woman, the female, when they come together in sex, for example, or in relationship or love, to help him experience that positive of energy that he's been busy creating. Whereas the woman, because she's more in the experience of the energy and the playing with energy and the creation of an environment, isn't so much on the conflict side. So without the masculine part, we wouldn't even have a fucking civilization, because nobody would have created anything. And I'm not justifying, I'm just saying that's the reality of where civilization and where creation, or whatever you want to call it, is at. So the male is the one who creates out of the conflict. The female does something with that and creates the environment, just as an example. So you have the devil, which is the principle of taking energy from physical substance. The creation of, or that's the principle of that. The actual action of it is the male. The circulation of the energy is the female. And now at this point, what we've done is we've given our authority within ourselves that we want to experience infinitely this energy that we've been creating. And we don't want to have to sit there and think about every moment like I got to create it at this like molecular level. So we have given our authority to energy itself as like the guiding principle of what is important to us. So in other words, what's happened now is we actually think energy is the only thing that exists. And we've given everything within ourselves, the authority within ourselves is like, at any cost, whatever it is, I don't care, just give me energy, give me energy. That is what God is. It's the manifestation of the authority that we've given to energy to basically control everything in this world. So I did a video like a few months back about, money, and money being God of this world and so forth, and being the most important thing. And that's what I'm talking about, is money is it controls everything. You can't do jack shit without money. You can't eat without money. You can't. Like, it's not possible. Somebody's got to make the money to create the food. You know, you can be some like guru in India who just like is all spiritual and holy, and people give you money, but they had to go to work to get it. And somebody had to build a business to employ these people or whatever. So in that story of the Adam and Eve, you have the devil, Adam, Eve, and God. Well, those are all just the separate points that are within each human being that we're participating in. Whereas God is just the authority that we've given to energy. So what's the actual point of like the knowledge of good and evil, and why in the Bible it's saying don't eat from that knowledge, or don't eat from that fruit. Don't eat the fruit from that tree. Because they're saying don't ever realize that you are all of those things. You are all of those roles. You are doing each one of those points. Because if you ever did, you would start to question the nature, or you would start to question the authority that energy has over your life. You would start to realize, like, oh, I'm living backwards. I need to take responsibility for all these points within me. And you might stop participating in it. And energy itself has become God, so it's saying to us, don't fucking stop giving me energy, because God can't exist without. Really think about this for a moment. What is real is the physical reality. God needs energy to exist. That's why he needs you to believe in him. God is just the authority that we've given to energy. God can't create energy on his own. He needs slaves to do it. He needs you to create the energy. The program, consciousness, needs you to create the energy. Just like in The Matrix, the movie. The machines needed the humans to create the machines, empower them with their bodies as the power supply, as the batteries, to keep the machines being able to run, because they weren't alive. They weren't real. If God was fucking real, he'd be right here. Hey, guess what? There is something that's right here that's real. It's fucking physical reality. That is God. Think about it. The physical reality knows everything about you. Every hair on your head is counted, because everything that exists is manifested right now and can be counted. Maybe not by us, but it is in itself finite and manifested. It's eternal. The physical reality is eternal. It's always here. It always has been here. It's all the things you could say about God are present within the concept of what the physical reality is. And what have we done? We have spirituality and religions that say energy is what's real. Energy transforms. When you die, this is all an illusion. I'm like, if you think it's an illusion, then just kill yourself. If you really fucking believe that. Because if you need to have faith in it for you to get to the afterlife, then, well, why are you still here? Because you obviously don't have a lot of faith if you think you need to survive here. And if you think you're here to learn some kind of lessons, the only lesson that's valid to learn is that here in the physical reality that is programmed, we should be adjusting the program so that everybody has what they need equally, and that nobody should have when somebody else doesn't have. That doesn't mean we need to take away. It means we need to make sure everybody has what they need. And at the moment, all we're doing is distracting ourselves with a game of survival, which is just survival as energy, which is just the survival of experience, which is just, I'm going throughout my day trying to create something so that I can experience myself one day more, and someday maybe I'll be happy, and someday I'll experience some kind of happiness, or maybe in moments. But what is happiness? It's just an experience. At least that's how you have defined it. But that's not what happiness really is. Because if we lived in a reality where all of your needs were met at all times, because that's what a real God would do, he would provide for all equally. So if you really are a creator, that's what you would create. Not your own individual bullshit happiness. You would create happiness for everybody, because that's the only way you can be happy. And when I first came across Destiny back in 2008, when I started listening to some of the videos that were online back then, the very first video I listened to, the takeaway, what for me was, because at that point in my life I was searching, I was like, why am I not happy? Why am I not happy? Why am I not happy? And when I watched that first Destiny video, and I realized I'm not happy because nobody's happy. Because you can't be happy in a world that's designed to make you unhappy. You understand what I'm saying when I'm explaining this point about the negativity comes before the positivity? We are in a world that's designed to create energy out of negativity, out of conflict. And there was a system in place that made sure that the elite only ever got the positive energy and everybody else just basically had their bullshit lives. And they were always promised that someday they would evolve and, you know, God would gift them some kind of experience in the afterlife. But then when you died, you went into the afterlife, they just put you back in another body, into another pre-programmed life to go back and experience and create more conflict and energy. And the ones who challenged the system, like Jesus, they were fucking sent to hell as a demon. You don't even understand what that is. It's a total different, it's totally beyond what anybody else would understand in terms of what is a demon. Because a demon is a being that's totally cut off from energy. Because if we're creating all this energy on earth and we're giving it to God, right, which is the creators of this programmed reality we live in, then a demon is someone who's died. They've been taken out of the system of reincarnation and just banished off to another dimension where they don't get access to any of the energy that we're generating through conflict on earth. So they have to get their own energy. So what they would do is they would possess people and suck energy directly out of them. That's what a demon is. They don't exist anymore like that. But that's all it is. So it's nothing mystical or crazy. It makes perfect sense. Right? But the thing is, what people will do is they'll use knowledge and information, like what is a demon and all this stuff, as a way to justify themselves to continue in the pursuit of happiness and energy and all that. So they'll use demons as the polar opposite of an angel, and then the angels are good, and you think about angels and you feel good and positive, so you're just generating that positive energy. That's all it is. It's a game. But, you know, if an angel was real, they wouldn't let children get raped. I mean, imagine everyone has a guardian angel, they say, right? Well, so what is this guardian angel doing while this child is being abused by, like, their relative, sexually abused? They're just sitting there watching, not intervening. And then, like, that day where I almost wrecked in my car and suddenly, miraculously, it was my guardian angel watching over me. Like, you're so fucking special. The guardian angel was like, I need to save this one's life. I gotta get the wheel back in control. Versus this child over here being molested by their uncle or something. That's just a part of their lesson. Like, really? Now, here's the real point. If you accept that as a valid reason and excuse, you're the fucking abuser. Because you're justifying abuse. And the only reason you would do that is so you can continue in your own little pursuit of happiness game in your mind. It's the only reason you would do that. The only reason you would reject what I'm saying right now, and I'm not asking you or suggesting that you accept and believe what I'm saying, but the only reason you wouldn't, like, consider it and say, okay, I need to look further, is because you don't want to change. You don't want to give up the pursuit of energy. Because the reality is, you're the problem. Every single person who is not willing to give up their pursuit of happiness in order to focus on what's really here as all the fucking problems on earth, so we can create a better system that provides for everybody equally, and then we can actually figure out what real life is about. Every person who's like, nah, that's not too important for me right now, I got my own deal, you're the fucking problem. So, and you have to realize it's not just a matter of like, well, you choose one day, no, okay, well, I'm gonna give it all up. You then have to walk a process of removing all of that programmed shit, pre-programmed shit that's been put into you, that's making you automatically pursue energy. It's like you don't just decide one day, oh, I'm not going to do it anymore. Watch, immediately thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, all kinds of shit's going to come up and put you right back in the path. In fact, what's probably going to happen is you're going to immediately feel really fucking bad the moment you say, well, I'm standing up to my ego. Because that's really what it is. That construct within you that is trying to keep you to generating energy, that is really what the ego is. Right? And if you type into YouTube, Bernard Pullman, Revenge of the Ego, I would start listening there, right? And I would start by reading his blog, Creation's Journey to Life, and the other one from the Destiny Portal, Heaven's Journey to Life. You can find the links to any of that stuff on my Facebook page. And if you want any specific information or something like that, you can message me, right? But do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not just talking to hear myself talk. I'm not just talking to talk about stuff. I'm explaining something that we all need to realize, because this is what's holding us all back from making the world better. And the consequence of not doing that, I'm trying to tell you, when you die, it's game over. This is your last life. I can't prove that to you right now. But if you are honest with yourself and you really investigate things, you can find out and know for yourself for sure that this is the last life you will ever have if you do not let go of all the bullshit and stand up for what's actually best in this world. And even then, you may not fucking make it. I don't know. But the reality is, what do you have to lose at this point? You have to realize, like, this is it. This is our last life. We've already proven for a long time that we can't be trusted with life. So we're not going to be given more. We have to now prove it. This is the time. We have to prove that we are real. We are here physically, and we can be trusted. We can be trusted to actually do what's best. Imagine if we were given the power to instantly manifest anything. Could you be trusted with that power? Or would immediately a thought of like something that's self-interested that would cause harm to someone else would immediately come up in your mind and immediately create a problem? Can you really be trusted? Because when you die, that's the final test. If you can't be trusted, you instantly manifest your non-existence. And I fucking hope that this drives terror into your heart, because maybe that's the only thing that's going to wake you up. But if we would have people wake up and start doing this process of like removing all the limitations, guess what's going to happen? Two things. One, your life is going to improve substantially. Your relationships are going to get better, because you're not going to be doing it based on trying to suck energy out of somebody and just the agreement, the relationship of you're just there to let them suck energy. You're going to have a real fucking agreement with somebody, and you're going to experience something you never experienced before. If you have children, your relationship with your children will be vastly superior to anything that anybody experiences right now. Your just relationship with yourself is going to be different. You're not going to have all of those fears. You're going to feel confident. You're going to trust yourself. You're going to have real bliss and joy. But that's not going to happen if we're dishonest with ourselves. If we experience fear, how can bliss exist when there's fear? And the only reason there's fear right now is because we can't trust each other, because we're all just trying to basically destroy each other in order to get a temporary experience of energy. Because this tree I'm driving by, that is you. It's just in a different form, and you can't tell it's you, because we've separated ourselves over time so much that it now has presented this illusion that we've made real, that there's separation. But we can walk it back, and we can get back to a point where we don't have that separation anymore. I'm not saying there won't still be physical forms, but I'm saying the starting point of living as if you're the only thing that matters, because that is what is ensuring that we all will surely die. That's actually the real death. Energy isn't real anyways. It's just the byproduct of matter in conflict with itself. So fuck it. Fuck energy. Like, let's actually get to what's real here in this physical reality. That's the only thing that matters. And maybe then, if we do that, we can prove that we can be trusted with something even more that we can't imagine right now. That's all for tonight. Talk later.